Yo, what's up, guys? You got PokeAim here with part 1 or episode 1 of my Pokemon Breakdown, where I will be taking a Pokemon in OU, and maybe not always limited to OU, maybe it'll be different tiers from time to time, but I'll be taking a common Pokemon in OU and talking about its most viable sets or its most common sets, as well as teammates, the common EV spreads on it, how to beat it, checks and counters, and how to use it. And I'll just be giving you an overview of the Pokemon. Now, before I actually get into this, I just want to say that a lot of the stuff I am going to say you can definitely find on the Smogon Dex, which I will be linking down below. However, the reason I'm doing this series is because I feel that a lot of people learn better when they are being taught something rather than when they read it for themselves, because maybe they won't understand it. So I'll be doing my best to explain everything, and also a little bit of overview, or backstory rather, not overview, backstory as to why I decided to do this series, and while we actually be making guides on my channel. I noticed that a lot of people, a lot of places on YouTube, there's just no good Pokemon guides for people on how to get into competitive Pokemon. Yes, there's a lot of battlers. Yes, there's a lot of battles as well. Battlers, obviously there's going to be battlers. Yes, there's a lot of talk of Pokemon Showdown, and yes, there's also, some people uploading how to use Xmon, or Xmon is overpowered, or whatever. That's great, whatever, but it doesn't show people how to get into competitive. It doesn't, for the new player, it's not helpful for them. Yes, you can give them a Pokemon, but it's like giving a kid a piece of wood and telling them to go start a fire. You gave them the tools, but you didn't teach them how to use it. So that's why I'm actually doing this, as well as there will be guides coming in the future of my channel. Within the next month or two, there will be some guides on my channel for those. This series is mainly aimed at the people that are newer to competitive, but it's also a refresher for veterans, and hopefully, I do well and I'm able to help you guys out. Now, the first Pokemon I will be talking about is Azumarill. Azumarill is a great Pokemon in OU. It has a lot going for it. One of the reasons it's so great is because of its water and fairy typing. This gives it an immunity to dragon, which is great in the OU tier, especially because there is a lot of dragon types such as Latios, Latias, powerful dragon types that can drop Dracos, or Draco Meteor for those of you that don't know that reference, as well as Pokemon such as Dragonite, which can click Outrage and stuff like that. There's not too many Pokemon, too many dragon types in the OU tier. There's also Garchomp as well, but they are definitely all powerful, and having that fairy typing means that your opponent cannot spam a dragon move versus you. Its water fairy typing is also great for it because it gives it an resistance to fire, fighting, water, and dark. Of course, there is also bug and ice. Off the top of my head, I believe that's all of its resistances. But the main ones in OU that you really have to deal with are, fire, fighting, water, and dark. This means an Azumarill is a great check to common Pokemon such as Weavile, common fighting types, or even fighting types in general, such as Conkeldurr. It's a water resist, as well as with its bulky, its stats are good. It is very bulky, it has base 100 HP, and its defenses are both base 80, meaning that without any EVs, it actually has 196 defense and 196 special defense, which isn't too bad considering it has base 100 HP. Now, Azumarill also has access, and this is just an overview of Azumarill before I break down into the common sets and how to use it. Azumarill also has a lot of great moves. It has a great move pool. It has a great offensive fairy move that allows it to take advantage of its high attack stat due to its ability Huge Power, doubling its attack stat. So you see base 50 on Azumarill, but it's actually base 100. With Huge Power there, it just doubles the attack, if you guys didn't know. But basically, it also has Play Rough, like I said, which is a great move. It's a 90 base power fairy move that it can abuse with its offensive stat. It has Stab, Waterfall. It has a priority move in Aqua Jet. Definitely something nice, especially on a hard hitter such as Azumarill. And then it, of course, has Superpower, or even Knockoff for utility. Knockoff, of course, letting you get rid of your opponent's item. Superpower, letting you hit steel types. Stuff that can check and counter it. Now, there's a bunch of common sets. The common sets, for example, are the Choice Bandit, the Belly Drum, and the Assault Vest set, which I will be going over in a moment. Unfortunately, though, what Azumarill doesn't really have going for it is its speed. Its speed stat is very, very low, so typically Azumarill, unless it's going for a priority move in Aqua Jet, it's gonna be it's going to be hitting after your opponent. So even though it does have the bulk to take hits, it will be taking hits. It doesn't have reliable recovery. It doesn't have like recover or softball. It has to rely on rest if it wants to even use recovery. And its poor speed stat really is honestly what just it doesn't have going for it. Also, its ability, it doesn't really have a good way of taking out its counters, such as Mega Venusaur. Mega Venusaur walls all sets of Azumarill indefinitely. And of course, Ferrothorn could definitely be a wall as well. But of course, Azumarill does have access to superpower. Now, the first common set that we're going to be talking about is the Choice Bandit set, as you can see on your screen. Now, the Choice Bandit set runs Play Rough, Waterfall, Aqua Jet, and either Superpower or Knockoff. Now, Superpower is typically chosen over Knockoff just because the main Azumarill switching besides Scizor or Venusaur, and of course those can switch in because Mega Scizor can take any hit from Azumarill. It's Mega Scizor, by the way, not Scizor. Scizor doesn't typically like switching in, especially if it's a Choice Bandit variant. Azumarill does a crap load, or a hell of a lot, you might say, to that Pokemon. But Superpower, of course, is there to hit Ferrothorn mainly. It's also just 120 base fighting type attack that doesn't miss, and the drawback of course is that you lose your attack is lowered and so is your defense. But Knockoff can also be used for some utility. A Choice Bandit Knockoff, not only does it get rid of your opponent's item, but it hits hella hard. Isn't always a bad move to have. Now, the standard spread that Azumarill runs is 172 HP. This is the standard Choice Bandit spread. Obviously, you can change it up, but this is the standard spread that is usually run. Max attack, obviously, to maximize your power, and 84 speed. Now, what this 84 speed does is it allows you to outspeed base 60 Pokemon that are uninvested, such as Clefable, and also to the rarer extent, Sylveon. Mainly Clefable, though, because Clefable is just a big problem in OU. I'll probably be going over it later on, but this allows you to outspeed it if they are uninvested, which they usually are, and you can actually 2-hit KO any variant of Clefable with the Play Rough. Now, of course, like I said, Knockoff is still an option on the Choice Bandit set just because it allows you to deal with psychic types such as Slowbro, such as Mew. It gives you an accurate move versus the Lati twins, Latios and Latios. And the Choice Bandit set is basically meant to punch holes, to damage your opponent's team, to hit hard as hell. It is a wall breaker. I say it's a wall breaker because even the physically defensive walls in Pokemon, Quagsire, Ferrothorn, Clefable, Hippowdon, they're all 2-hit KO'd by either Play Rough or Waterfall or Superpower. Superpower, of course, being Ferrothorn, respectively. It can be a great cleaner. It can also clean up late game with its Aqua Jet. This allows it to, obviously with that priority, if your opponent's team is weak, after it's already punched holes, it can just sweep up, or clean up rather, with the Aqua Jet. And Azumarill obviously having its great typing, even if it's even if it doesn't have the leftovers or the or it's not really invested in bulk, just because of its straight up typing, it can switch into a plethora of Pokemon. The Choice Bandit set can easily switch into Pokemon such as Tyranitar. It can easily switch into water types. It can even switch into Latios and Latias if you're predicting a Draco Meteor, because obviously that fairy typing giving it that immunity to the Draco Meteor, and then you can just hit them up with a Play Rough or a Knockoff. And it's just a Pokemon that can switch into very, very common and very, very prominent and strong threats in OU, such as the Lati twins, such as T-Tar, such as Charizard X. Though it doesn't always appreciate a Flare Blitz after Stealth Rock, it does 2-hit KO. That's something to remember. Now, Azumarill really, even though it can switch into Pokemon such as Keldeo and it can switch into the Latis, it doesn't always want to, simply because Keldeo's most spammable move is Scald. Choice Bandit Azumarill, yes, it can hit hard, and it'll still hit hard even if it's burnt, but you'd be wasting your Azumarill, or, you know, you'd be risking your Azumarill if you switched it in on a Keldeo. Keldeo, of course, if it locks itself into Scald, does have that 30% chance to burn. So typically, Azumarill is a Pokemon that you try to bring in on a free switch. Maybe pair it with a Volt Switcher or a U-turner, such as Landorus T, that can get a slow U-turn into Azumarill. That means it gets in for free and can hit hard as hell. You typically want to pair it with Pokemon that can take on its resistance, or what it's weak to, as well as Pokemon that outright beat it. Not necessarily weak to, but just also outright beat it. For example, Azumarill doesn't like electric types. It doesn't like grass types. So you might want to pair it with a Pokemon such as Ferrothorn, which can take on all electric attacks aimed at Azumarill, as well as all grass types aimed at Azumarill, just because of Ferrothorn's steel and grass typing. Pokemon such as Latios and Latias are also very, very, very good teammates with Azumarill, simply because they can get rid of one of Azumarill's main counters and one of its few counters in the game. And a counter, of course, is a Pokemon that can switch into any one of Azumarill's moves and come up on top no matter what. It's not a check. A check is a Pokemon that can switch into certain moves, or not necessarily switch in, but after you sack something, it can come in after and take on the Pokemon. So there's a difference between a check and a counter. Mega Venusaur, though, is a counter to Azumarill because Azumarill cannot deal with it. If you want to be gimmicky and use Bounce, that's probably your only way of dealing with it, or even Choice Band in return. Those are weird options and not necessarily the best, just because the other movesets are generally good. Because Azumarill's typing allows it to take on, because of Azumarill's just straight up typing, it allows it to take on Pokemon that normally would be, you have trouble switching to, such as Garchomp, such as like the Lottie Twins, like I said. So you might want to pair it with teammates that appreciate Garchomp, that appreciate the Lottie Twins being gone. For example, it could be even your Keldeo. You can pair an Azumarill and a Keldeo together. Keldeo loves that the Lottie Twins are gone, because the Lottie Twins are the main switch into Azumarill. Another thing that you can add is that Azumarill appreciates Pokemon that can hit up or use priority versus it gone. The Pokemon I'm talking about are, of course, Scizor and Talonflame. Talonflame, though it is weak to Aqua Jet, yes it is, it's also weak to Waterfall, and it can't really switch into Talonflame, or it can't really switch into Azumarill, excuse me. It's still considered a check to Azumarill, just because after a bit of prior damage, Azumarill is picked off by a priority Brave Bird from a Gale Wings Talonflame. So you're generally going to want Pokemon that can deal with Talonflame, that can deal with Scizor. Pokemon like Heatran come to mind, Pokemon like Rotom Wash that can burn Scizor and can check Talonflame indefinitely. They are definitely Pokemon that come to mind. Because Azumarill does get rid of bulky ground types, it gets rid of the Lotties, it gets rid of Pokemon such as Landers, Pokemon such as Hippowdon in general, you can pair this Pokemon with something that appreciates those Pokemon being gone, like a Thundurus, which can spam its electric attacks just because Azumarill got rid of, and this is the Choice Banded set per se, because the Choice Banded set hits so hard that it is able to get rid of these threats. So you can pair it with a Mega Manectric, a Raikou that can spam Volt Switch because the bulky ground types are gone, or it can even give you that Volt Switch, that momentum, or that Switch initiative rather, into Azumarill. Because Thundurus and Raikou do force switches, you can bring out your Choice Band and Azumarill and again just hit hard as hell. Now, again, like I said, Azumarill, or this set rather, does have a lot of flaws. Well, its main flaw of all Azumarill sets is that it's slow. So definitely wants that U-turn into it. You can pair it with a Scizor or a Mega Scizor with U-turn. Compare it with a Landorus T. And Azumarill definitely wants Pokemon such as Raikou gone or weakened enough to the point where you can knock it out with Aqua Jet. But the next Azumarill set we're going to be talking about, and the sets are all pretty common. They all run pretty common moves. The next set we're going to be talking about is the Belly Drum set. Now, the Belly Drum set is a different variant of Azumarill. It's not necessarily used the same as a Choice Banded set. Yes, it can still break just because, it can still wall break just because Belly Drum obviously boosts you up to +6, but this set is usually used either as a late game sweeper or an early game door opener, I like to call it, because it can open up the door for something else to sweep. For example, Azumarill can clean up late game if Pokemon such as Latias and Latios have been gone or weakened. The reason I say that is because this set likes to Belly Drum up and then spam +6 Aqua Jet. So if Keldeo is weakened, if Latias or Latios are weakened, or they are gone, if Talonflame is gone, like this set appreciates Talonflame being gone. This set appreciates the Lottie Twins being weakened or gone, Keldeo being weakened or gone. This set is able to break through. Now, the Belly Drum set likes to run Belly Drum, Aqua Jet, Play Rough, and Knock Off. It doesn't typically run Waterfall simply because the combination of Play Rough and Aqua Jet hits everything that Waterfall would anyway, especially at +6. And Knock Off is just better on this set just because it gives it a neutral attack, a +6 neutral attack, mind that, versus Pokemon that would otherwise wall Ferrothorn, such as or that would otherwise wall Azumarill, such as Ferrothorn. Excuse me. I don't like to, but I do mix up my words every now and then. Now, the speed on this set is a bit different. It likes to run max attack, of course, optimize your attack. 92 HP and then 164 speed. The 164 speed gives you enough speed for Pokemon such as Skarmory, Tyranitar, and Clefable. It also allows you to outspeed, just base 70 Pokemon. Like I said, the Pokemon below, and that would be, of course, Tyranitar and Clefable. Being able to outspeed Tyranitar isn't too much of an issue just because you can +6 Aqua Jet it, but Clefable is definitely one because Clefable is a Pokemon that is known to T-Wave, that is known to Moonblast. This set doesn't specifically need to belly drum up in order to do what it does. Actually, giving it a Citrus Berry is good in general for Azumarill just because of its already great typing and decent defensive stats, so it just gives you a bit of longevity. So if you're not able to belly drum, that's fine. This being just a switch in for Pokemon such as Keldeo, such as Lottie Twin, Citrus Berry activating, giving you enough HP to take the next hit. That's also that. But like I said, this can be a great late game sweeper if you can get rid of the Pokemon that I mentioned in the previous set, being Venusaur, weakening Raikou, weakening defensive Garchomp, because that's actually a check, 2+6 Aqua Jet. It does live, and you get off the Rocky Helmet and the rough skin damage as well as an Earthquake, so Azumarill will be killing itself. Again, this set typically likes its checks and counters being gone, so it likes being paired with Pursuit Trappers such as Bisharp or Tyranitar or Weavile that can get rid of Pokemon such as the Lottie Twins, which can live a +6 Aqua Jet and KO it back with either Thunderbolt or Psyshock, respectively. This set also appreciates hazards being up. Landorus, Garchomp, Hippowdon, they're all good stealth rockers, though for this type of Pokemon, I would typically say use a more offensive setter. So I would say Landorus, maybe Garchomp is better on offense just because typically Belly Drum Azumarill is run on offense just because offense is good at breaking through your opponent's team, and offense appreciates Pokemon being weakened or gone. Because like I said, this set doesn't necessarily need to be used late game to sweep, but it can open up a door. For example, if my opponent has a Keldeo and I'm running Belly Drum Azumarill and Bisharp, Keldeo is a Bisharp check / counter to an extent. But if you belly drum up with your Azumarill and you go for +6 Aqua Jet versus Keldeo, that's doing about 65%. That puts Keldeo in range of Sucker Punch after Stealth Rock from Bisharp, opening up the door for a potential Bisharp sweep or even, clean up with Bisharp. Like I said, it doesn't have to necessarily sweep late game, but Azumarill can sweep late game if you get rid of the Pokemon that stop it or weaken them, such as Talonflame. So again, Pokemon like Rotom Wash are greatly paired with this Pokemon. Pokemon such as Landorus T, which can deal with Talonflame. Pokemon that can deal with Rotom. Rotom is one of the all-time checks to Azumarill as well. It's not necessarily counter because it's not going to like switching into a +6 attack no matter what it is. +6 Aqua Jet can 2-hit KO with Stealth Rock easily. So it can't necessarily switch into that after it's belly drummed, but it can come in on most attacks anyway, and it can pain split on up there. Threatens you with the Volt Switch, and the Curse can burn you with the Will-O-Wisp, so you got to be careful about Rotom. Just the fact that it has a Citrus Berry just makes it a good check for dark types, for fighting types in general. So even if it's not able to belly drum up in a game, that Citrus Berry just gives it a bit more longevity. Now, like I said, Azumarill does appreciate having its checks and counters gone, so electric types like Raikou, Mega Manectric, and Magnezone and Thundurus, they really help Azumarill deal with bulky Pokemon such as Skarmory, such as Talonflame, such as bulky waters in general. Azumarill likes bulky waters being gone. Like I said, Keldeo, Rotom Wash. Keldeo is a bulky Pokemon in general. Suicune. Electric types such as Raikou, Mega Manectric, and Magnezone are all good teammates for it in general, and they just help get rid of the Pokemon that check Azumarill. And of course, at the end of everything, I'll be talking about the counters to Azumarill, or the Pokemon that check it. I've already named a few as we've gone on, but I want to, try and keep going with it. But like I said, this set is basically made to outspeed Pokemon like Skarmory, Pokemon like Politoed, Pokemon like regular Scizor, unless they're running speed, and meant to, just break through teams or open up a door for another teammate. Mega Venusaur is a complete stop to this set, so you're going to want to run Pokemon that can deal with that. Talonflame, Mega Pinsir, Mega Metagross, Mega Gallade, the Lottie Twins, Mega Alakazam, even a nasty Plot Mew just helps open up the door for Azumarill. Now the last set and the third most common set, and of course there are other sets that I can talk about at the end that aren't necessarily common, but they can be used with Azumarill, because right now we're just abusing Azumarill's huge power. That is the main reason why huge power is the main reason why Azumarill is just a great Pokemon. That and its typing / stats, its move pool. Actually, Azumarill is just an all-around good Pokemon in general. But the next set that we will be talking about is the Assault Vest set. Now this set typically is aimed at switching into water type attacks, at taking those. It can even take those electric type attacks, and this set is basically one of these sets that can take on its counters to an extent. Bar Venusaur, of course. Mega Venusaur just takes it on, and so does Mega Scizor. But this Assault Vest set runs 240 HP, max attack, and then 16 SPDF, giving you that 300 SPDF stat after the Assault Vest. Assault Vest, of course, boosting your special defense by 1 times at the cost of only having to use attacking moves. And again, in the future, I'll probably also be using visuals and stuff just to make this more appealing to the eye, but also just to make it easier to understand, because I feel like I could use some little clips, some battle clips to show you guys how to use this Pokemon. But of course, this is my first time, so any criticism is appreciated. Don't say this was crap though, that doesn't help me. Constructive criticism is more what I should have said, is appreciated. But this Assault Vest set is more utility than anything else. It does not sweep like the Belly Drum set. It does not wall break per se like the Choice Bandit set. It does, however, take hits from a plethora of Pokemon. The moves that they run are Waterfall, Play Rough, Aqua Jet, you know, your Fairy Stab, Water Stab, your priority Aqua Jet, and Knockoff is usually the preferred move to Superpower just for utility, because you can spam Knockoff. Azumarill easily comes in on bulky waters such as Keldeo. It also comes in on the Lottie Twins if they're trying to drop a Draco. And it forces switches just because of its typing and its stats. So typically Pokemon that want to come in on Azumarill are like Ferrothorn, Rotom, and stuff. And getting rid of their item with a knockoff is great just for teammates for Ferrothorn. Now, like I said, this spread is more so aimed at utility than it is at sweeping. Basically you're gonna want to switch in. This is a Pokemon to like I said, the Keldeo and things like that. But the Assault Vest, combined with Azumarill's high HP stat and good defensive typing, actually allows Azumarill to 1v1 Pokemon that would otherwise beat it. For example, Life Orb Gengar with Sludge Wave and Life Orb Thundurus, which would otherwise beat any variant of Azumarill with Thunderbolt, fail to knock out this Pokemon, and Azumarill can just revenge kill them, or even not even revenge kill, but knock them out after living the hit with either Knockoff or Play Rough respectively, as well as having that utility in the priority move rather in Aqua Jet. It has a great spammable move in Knockoff, just because it's one of the best moves in the game. It just lets you get rid of your opponent's item for free. It even gets stronger as you use it. This Azumarill can fit on basically any types of teams. You want to pair it with Pokemon that can deal with Azumarill's checks and counters, like I said before. For example, bulky ground types are really good to check to put with Assault Vest Azumarill, such as Hippowdon, such as Landorus. Mainly Hippowdon though, because Hippowdon is able to take on Thundurus, it's able to take on Mega Manectric, it's also able to take on Talonflame to an extent if it is running Stone Edge, and it's just a great teammate in general. Again, Ferrothorn and Heatran are Pokemon that I've already listed before, and Pokemon such as Magnezone, Mega Scizor, and Mega Charizard X, all of those pair well with Azumarill because they get rid of the Pokemon that stop Azumarill, being Ferrothorn, being Mega Scizor, being grass types in general. Mega Charizard can deal with them all. So Assault Vest Azumarill is more so a Pokemon of utility. It's a nice switch into those spammable Scalds. It's a nice switch into Weavile. It's a nice switch into threats in the game. And again, you're gonna want to pair it with Pokemon that can either help it, like Charizard, like Magnezone, or also just appreciate water types being gone, or dragon types being gone, like Mega Charizard Y, for instance, likes having Azumarill on the team, though the sun, of course, makes Azumarill's waterfall slower. Azumarill can switch into hits from Keldeo, from Specs Keldeo. It can switch into just Tyranitar, which can threaten Charizard with a Crunch or Stone Edge, though Azumarill doesn't typically switch into Stone Edge well, just Crunch definitely. But there are definitely checks and counters to this Pokemon that I've already touched upon. For example, Pokemon like Amoonguss, Mega Venusaur can take any hit that Azumarill wants to throw at them. Amoonguss, though, does not appreciate a +6 Azumarill. +6 Azumarill can beat Amoonguss with +6 knockoff. After Stealth Rock, Amoonguss does go down. However, Mega Venusaur can switch into all variants of Azumarill with relative ease, no matter what. Threaten it with its either Grass or Poison move, and just deal with it. Pokemon such as Ferrothorn, Magnezone, Skarmory, bulky steals such as Mega Scizor and Mega Metagross are all Pokemon that can reliably check an Azumarill set. Azumarill does not knock out any of those Pokemon with any one of its attacks, bar like a Choice Band and Superpower for the Ferrothorn, and those are Pokemon that can all live Azumarill's priority and take it on with their steel moves respectively. Mega Scizor can actually set up alongside Azumarill, using it as setup fodder, and just because of its insane bulk, and then taking it out with its Bullet Punch. And of course, Pokemon such as Quagsire, Slowbro, Mega Slowbro, and even physically defensive Mew and Rotom Wash are all Pokemon that can deal with certain variants of Azumarill. A Choice Band in Azumarill is very scary for those Pokemon to switch into, but any other variant, a Belly Drum variant, an Assault Vest variant, Rotom can switch in relatively easily to. Mew can Will-O-Wisp and Stall Break. Clefable can take on the Assault Vest set really easily and just stall it out, can Thunder Wave Calm Mind up on it, and of course Slowbro can burn it with Scald, and then Quagsire is not to it KO'd by any hit that Azumarill goes for, bar a Choice Band attack. So those are all Pokemon that can check and counter this thing. So typically you're gonna want to send in Azumarill. Again, just a quick overview on Pokemon that it resists, such as the Lottie Twins, such as spammable, if a water Pokemon is out and going for a water move. It also switches in relatively easily to just about any dragon type. It doesn't appreciate switching into Garchomp too much, just because Garchomp does threaten it with the Stab Earthquake, but it can definitely take on the Lottie Twins on a predicted Draco Meteor. And Azumarill is just the type of Pokemon that it hits hella hard. It has great stats. Obviously, its speed is a thing that doesn't really work in its favor. But besides that, Azumarill is just a great Pokemon in general in the OU tier. That's why it's really one of the better mons. There's one more thing I want to say. There are other sets you can try with Azumarill. There are, for example, as you can see on Showdown, Azumarill can run. It has different abilities in Sap Sipper and Thick Fat. Typically, Sap Sipper isn't used just because, yes, you get that +1, but the huge power is just insanely missed. And of course, there are the movesets you can run, like Perish Trap, because Azumarill does get Whirlpool and Perish Song, so you could try and trap your opponent. And unfortunately, though, that's illegal with Sap Sipper, so you would have to run Thick Fat for that. But besides that, you could even run Scald on Assault Vest Azumarill if you wanted. Spam Water, Spam Scald is one of the most spammable moves in the game, and one of the best moves alongside Knockoff. So Scald and Knockoff on the same set, even though it doesn't even need special attack investment, just because the point of that, or the aim of that, would be to burn. But yeah, that's just about it. In the future, again, I will be trying to add graphics, visuals of the actual gameplay happening. That way you can see it as I'm saying it. Make it a little bit easier for you guys. But I hope you guys all enjoyed. Feel free to leave a like if you did. Any comments, concerns, questions, feel free to add them down below, or say them. And yeah, until next time, guys, later.